Hi and welcome back. Our last episode that we did on the inventions, we took a look at them in a little bit more of a general way. So today we thought we'd take a look at them a little closer in depth. Bach's 15 two-part inventions are short contrapuntal pieces with very clear, lively motifs, each in a different key. So the 15 keys that he uses work their way up in an ascending order. So he starts out in C major, then C minor, D major, D minor, E flat major, E major, E minor, F major, F minor, G major, G minor, A major, A minor, B flat major, and lastly, B minor. He seems to have left out the keys that were not super common during his day, and of course this was written before the well-tempered clavier, so that idea of collecting all the keys together was remedied at a later time. Now, each of these inventions uses a different form to display its counterpoint. So canon, fugal style, or manipulating the opening motifs by using different little techniques like inversion, repetition, or voice exchange. But the main focus of each of these pieces were not purely to pursue all the technical possibilities, but to develop each motive freely and logically. So let's take a look at a few of these inventions a little closer.
First off, there is an ongoing question about the triplets in Invention 1. In the first edition of Inventions, in the Klavierbuchwein from 1720 as Preambulum 1, there are very clearly no triplets. And the same goes for even later when Bach renamed them Inventions in 1723. Yet there are several editions where triplets appear. So why is that? Some people, scholars, friends of Bach, with original letters say it was definitely not Bach who squeezed in these triplet figures and that it was most likely his son, CPE Bach, who had written them in, since he had been in possession of original autograph for the inventions for 40 years. Then again, the Bärenreiter edition, which I use, subscribed to the fact that Bach himself did write them in and can be played either way, triplets or no triplets. The story I was always told as a student was that Bach was teaching one of his students and added them in himself. I personally like the way the triplets sound, as they gives the music a little bit more rhythmic complexity and fluidity. So let's take a look at Invention 8 as well. So this is one of the inventions that is a canon. And a canon is basically a melody that is imitated in another voice after a certain amount of time, 1 beat, 2 beats, 2 measures, does not matter. The primary voice, the dux, is followed by the secondary voice, comes, either in unison or in a different interval. The canon by inversion, where one voice goes up, the other goes down, the retrograde or the crab canon, where the secondary voice follows the primary backwards, the double canon, 2 canons of 4 or more voices running simultaneously, the mirror canon, the table canon, the rhythmic canon, the puzzle canon, I could go on. But Bach keeps it pretty simple in Invention 8. The secondary voice follows identically in the second measure and does not deviate until the second beat of measure 8, where it begins to deviate from the interval. The second section begins in bar 12, with the left hand taking the primary voice and begins to deviate again at bar 15. So in this way we can see how Bach takes the principle of the canon and instead of adhering to the strict canon, twisted it as needed to make invention even more interesting.
Bach's works get decidedly more complicated as he got older, and he really sort of led the way for other composers in terms of complexity and just the sheer awesomeness of what was possible in music. But it was common at the time, for example, for music to be not nearly difficult enough to merit the use of all 5 fingers, so the thumb was often left out. C.P.E. Bach wrote, "My deceased father told me that in his youth he used to hear great men who employed their thumbs only when large stretches made it necessary. Because he lived at a time when a gradual but striking change of musical taste was taking place, he was obliged to devise a far more comprehensive fingering, and especially to enlarge the role of the thumbs and use them as nature intended. For, among their other good services, they must be employed chiefly in the difficult tonalities. Hereby they, the thumbs, rose from their former uselessness to the rank of principal finger."
For myself, when I hear about the thumb not being used in playing, well, when Katha asked me,
"So, Ilya, why is the thumb so important?"
because it's an opposable thumb and what makes us human, so of course the thumb is important. Why is it important in playing keyboard instruments? To put it in simplest terms, it allows us to switch between positions much quicker with more fluidity. In keyboard instruments like the harpsichord, the instrument itself did not allow for as much legato the same way the piano will today. But even that being said, it absolutely boggles my mind how one could play these earlier compositions by Buxtehude, Couperin, Rameau, Frescobaldi without a thumb. But we do know that the thumb wasn't employed as much, and now it is. And thank God for Bach and his tireless promotions of thumb use, among other things.
So we hope that sheds a little bit more light onto the inventions. We'll just leave you with this last quote from C.P.E. Bach. "When my father listened to a rich and many-voiced fugue, he could soon say, after the first entries of the subjects, what contrapuntal devices it would be possible to apply, and which of them the composer, by rights, ought to apply. And on such occasions, when I was standing next to him and he had voiced his surmises to me, he would joyfully nudge me when his expectations were fulfilled." And I don't know about you, but just imagining that makes me all kinds of happy. So thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this, please hit like and subscribe, leave us a comment, and cheers! Until next time.